Okay, everybody, here we go. Here's our tracing portion of our project. Now, as I said in our other video, we are going to redraw everything in pencil so that we can trace with the Sharpie. On the other side, I have our picture that we just got done drawing in Sharpie, but if I used oil pastels, it wouldn't really, the colors wouldn't really come through as well. Now, some things that we need to remember about oil pastels. Oil pastels love to be messy. So here is a nice little U shape. Okay, oil pastels will smudge. I bet I could even get that whole U to disappear almost entirely. Okay, crayons, if you're using crayons don't. Okay, if you have crayons, you could use them for this project. I prefer oil pastels because they kind of hold that line a little bit better. And something that I do want to make sure that we're trying to practice today is that we're working from the top of our paper down to the bottom of our paper. Okay. The idea in this is if I start on the bottom and I start working up towards the top, my arm and my hand is going to smudge all this oil pastel. But if I start on the top and I work my way down, I'll always be working in kind of like a clean area. So I'm choosing to use oil pastels. If you have them, use them. They're great. If you don't have them and you're using crayons, that's perfectly fine. For both, you need to really make sure that you don't have any gaps in your lines. And that's something that we talked about a lot last year if I had you in first grade. Okay, we got to make sure that we are connecting all of our lines together, okay? And we're kind of working always with a clean area underneath us. Okay, so if you saw, I went to go trace that roof, and then I said to myself, Self, what are you doing? We got to work from our left to our right. Now, if you're a lefty, you're going to do it in the opposite way. Okay, so if you're a lefty, you're going to be working from right to left because it's a little bit neater for you, just like it's a little neater for me to work this way. Now, just because I'm tracing with black here doesn't mean that I'm going to be painting black in these. Our cloud and our ghost are definitely going to stay white, okay? Our moon, I trace with an orange just because I want to maybe have an orange or a yellow moon. Our lightning is going to be yellow. I'm going to try and use this brick red, kind of purpley color for our house. I'll use the same color for these windows. But as you see, like I'm trying to be as careful as possible as I'm working around our picture. So that'll happen. These things break, they're soft. So always have clean areas underneath. I'm even lifting my hand up off of the table to try and make sure that I'm achieving that. These windows, I'm going to have them be black. I'm going to end up painting the inside on the bottom yellow, so it looks like it's an open window. The top will remain a different color. Most of the doors I've seen are brown. Get that little door handle. That's going to be kind of tricky to get. It's going to kind of go on the outside of that. I'm going to turn my paper now so I can kind of get some of these other parts that I skipped around. Ooh, rusty black fence. Rusty iron fence. Pick a nice green color. So we have, oh, that's orange. Here it is. Grabbed it without looking. We have this grass. That's really going to pop out. That is really going to pop out when we paint our sky. It's going to look awesome. That's like one of the cool things about these oil pastels. We'll be able, not only will we be able to paint inside an area one color and the outside a different, like this tower, be able to paint it, say we do want it to be red. Inside those windows, we'll be able to paint them yellow. They'll kind of keep the colors separate. But we can also draw these pieces of grass like that. And then when we go to paint our sky like a purple or a blue, depending on what you want to do, it's going to show back up again. The grass is going to pop right back because it's going to push that water off. I think I'm going to go back to gray for our stones. Try and keep that shape as best as possible. Last part over here. And I'm going kind of quick. There you have it. Okay, so if you're using crayons, awesome. If you're using oil pastels, try and follow the technique that I used. No matter what you use, make sure that all of your lines connect. So here's my last thing that I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that like all these stones are circular, that they all have lines that connect. The fence we're not really worried about. Our tombstones, those look good. Moving to the house. House looks good. I missed that. Just going to come back in here and do this. Okay. Not worried about the face. That face will show up because we'll paint it yellow. But everything else looks pretty good. Double check your work and make sure that all those lines connect. Now, last thing before I let you go. We are going to need this to go to a safe spot. During a normal school year, I would take your art project and neatly stack them on top of another student's, and then we'd put them in our class folders. That way they wouldn't smudge or move around, okay? Now what we need to make sure that we're doing is we are putting this on a shelf or taping it to a refrigerator, getting it up somewhere so that our oil pastels won't smudge. Okay, if you worked with crayon, that's not that big of a deal. You don't really have to do that, but let's still make sure that it's going to a safe spot where everything will be good. Okay, all right, have fun. Can't wait to see how these turn out.